Are you tired of war without end? Sick of the torture and the hypocrisy? Tired of being treated like a terrorist? Do you wish there was something you could do to stop it? Hi, I'm Steve Dayock, and if you answered yes to these questions, you're not alone. For more than a decade, the West has been engaged in a war on terror, which, despite its changing brand name and shifting official rationale, is entirely based on the story that on September 11, 2001, 4 hijacked jets disappeared. Flight 93 disappeared into the dry, rocky ground of an abandoned strip mine in Pennsylvania. Flight 77 cut down streetlights, bored through the Pentagon's brick and concrete facade, mowed down a forest of reinforced concrete pillars, and punched a 12-foot circular exit hole before it vanished into thin air. And Flights 11 and 175 disappeared into the north and south towers of the World Trade Center, leaving plane-shaped cutouts in dozens of structural steel box columns. But is any of this official story even possible? In each case, no physical evidence of a large jetliner can be seen. Were it not for the many videos of the planes and the endless testimony of the alleged witnesses, the paucity of physical evidence would make it difficult for anyone to believe any jetliners were involved at all. Most folks' common sense tells them jets can't do that, but most people override their common sense and believe the testimony of the eyewitnesses they see on the television. But you can't have it both ways. Either Sir Isaac Newton was wrong, or the eyewitnesses are. For 300 years, Newton's laws of mechanics have yet to be disproved. So what do you think? Should we rewrite them? Or could these people be mistaken? Watch their expressions.
I saw this plane come out of nowhere and just ream right into the side of the Twin Tower, exploding through the other side.
I saw this plane, a jet, American Airlines jet, coming, and I thought, this doesn't add up. It's really low. And I saw it. It just went, I mean, it was like a cruise missile with wings. Went right there and slammed right into the Pentagon.
Is it a plane or a bomb? You saw a plane going? A plane went straight into the building, right there into the side. A plane? Yeah, how big is the plane? Yeah. That was a direct hit. Huge one. There were 2 planes? Yeah. There's 2. One in each building. Yeah, I saw the last one.
Notice how many of them avoid looking directly at the camera and behave like extras in a movie.
This is not happening.
Like something out of the Tower Inferno, like a movie.
At the point of impact, the exterior walls of the Twin Towers were constructed of 1/4 inch thick steel plate formed into 14-inch square columns. Each column was 36 feet long. 3 columns were bound together with steel spandrels to make a wall panel. These panels were installed in a staggered formation, like bricks, with each one weighing around 4 tons. Behind each spandrel was an acre of 4-inch thick concrete floor spanning from wall to core and core to the opposite wall, all supported by steel trusses. I-beam construction was used on the mechanical floors to support the weight of large generators and other heavy equipment. The towers did not need to be light enough to fly and could therefore be anchored to the bedrock, and could be built using dense materials and redundant fasteners to obtain strength and durability. Jets, however, don't have that luxury and do need to be light enough to fly. Therefore, compared to a 100,000-ton steel building, a 127-ton, mostly hollow aluminum aircraft would be pretty inconsequential, especially considering the Twin Towers regularly withstood wind shear loads equivalent to the impact of an ocean tanker. A fuselage is not a battering ram, and wings are not cutting blades. Birds are much less massive than a quarter-mile-high mountain of steel, yet we've all seen what a bird can do to a jet.
Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. Thompson 253 Hotel, engine failure. We are continuing with northwesterly and then inbound towards Wallasey.
For perspective, my wood stove is also constructed of about 1/4 inch thick steel. So how fast do you think a jet's wing would need to be traveling to cut this baby in half, huh? Remember, if a bird can do this, what would my wood stove do? Well, if the bird strike photographs are any indication, it would probably blow through the jet like a cannonball. Yet for 11 years, most of the world's media, governments, military, and academia have behaved as if you'd have to be an idiot not to believe that the jet cut through not just one, but dozens of wood stoves. It would be laughable were it not so serious. Clearly what we were shown violates Newton's laws of mechanics, and if I'm aware of that, then so are the people in the aforementioned institutions. So what is going on here then? Why would the people in power of most nations expect us to believe impossible things? And why do we oblige them? Are we so predictable that they knew we would follow the crowd no matter how crazy the story was? Is the herd mentality that strong? In the real world, jets don't burrow into the ground, they don't bore through concrete buildings, and they don't disappear into steel skyscrapers. For whatever their reasons, our leaders have been treating us like imbeciles, and until we speak out against this insanity, we deserve to be treated as such. The mainstream watchers are hypnotized by television, therefore it is up to us to make them understand impossible is impossible, even if presidents, professors, generals, and news anchors say otherwise. Something is terribly wrong when our leaders lie to our faces on a scale like this, but there's something even more unsettling about a population that continues to buy it. A lot of very smart people still believe this tale, just as a lot of very smart people once believed the world was flat, for 1,000 years, but that doesn't make it true. In our own time now, we've been at war for 11 years, with no end in sight. Want to shoot for 1,000? If you're like me, you don't want to leave your grandchildren a world stuck somewhere between 1984 and the Twilight Zone, where they can be sent to war believing an impossible lie. Waiting on a peace movement has been a waste of time, and relying on the so-called 9/11 truth movement has been worse than useless, so I can see no other way than for each of us to reach out to our own friends and family. This, if you don't already know, will make you about as popular as a cell phone at a symphony. So rather than do as I have done and talk until no one will listen to you anymore, I propose trying something different. At 911crashtest.org, I hope to conduct a publicly funded scientific experiment to prove what actually happens to the wing of a 767 when it strikes steel box columns. It's no use waiting for someone else to do it. We need to prove to our neighbors that this was impossible, that a 767 couldn't do this at any speed, and that anyone who says otherwise is either lying or dreadfully misinformed. Sandia Labs has already shown what happens to a jet fighter when it hits concrete at 500 miles per hour, and the popular television show Mythbusters and their spin-off Mythbusters Myth Revolution have conducted similar tests at the Rocket Sled Test Facility at the New Mexico Tech Energetic Materials Research and Testing Center. If New Mexico Tech will rent their facilities for such things as cutting a car in half, they'll surely rent them for a project that could stop a few wars. The project plan is simple. Taking a section of the strongest part of the wing from a scrapped 767, attach it to a rocket sled. Reseal the fuel tank and fill it with water to compensate for the fuel load. And at the other end, fabricate some box columns built to the specifications of the World Trade Center and collide them together at 550 miles per hour, filming the results with high-speed cameras. Once completed, produce a video documentary of the project, start to finish, and release it online, and with any luck, it will go viral. Surely a project such as this will be expensive. Fees for engineering, steel fabrication, legal advice, insurance, travel, filming, a jet wing, and not to mention renting the test center will easily be tens of thousands of dollars, but funding can be raised through one of the numerous public fundraising sites available online. These sites can raise hundreds of thousands of dollars for worthy projects like art and documentaries, but there can be a no more worthy project than world peace. For the official 9/11 story to be true, the basic laws of nature had to be broken, leaving only one logical conclusion: fraud. Now, I know how difficult it can be to discuss this with friends and family, but if we don't do it, who will? However, rather than try to convince them on your own, let's prove it to them together. I hope like-minded people will join me in creating an open-source, all-inclusive peace project that will help raise awareness that in the real world, an aluminum jet cannot slice through a steel skyscraper like a hot knife through butter. Eventually, if enough awareness is raised, even the mainstream media could be forced to pay attention, and then perhaps a real investigation into 9/11 can finally begin. The fastest way to end the wars is by exposing the lies that spawned them. Please join me at 911crashtest.org. Thank you.